Have you ever heard the saying, you create your own demons? Well, in the golden halls of Asgard, the all-powerful Odin did just that, and it would cost him everything. This is the tragic story of how a king's paranoia, a whispered prophecy, and a terrible betrayal set the stage for the end of the world. Our story begins not in Asgard, but in the frost-covered realm of Jotunheim, the land of giants. Here, the mischievous god Loki, ever the rebel, fell into a forbidden love affair with the giantess Angrboda. Their union, hidden from the watchful eyes of Asgard, brought forth 3 children, beings of immense and terrifying potential. Their names would one day be whispered in fear, the wolf Fenrir, the serpent Jörmungandr, and the half-dead queen, Hel. Soon, prophecies began to swirl around these children like a winter storm. Seers were told a grim future, a time of cosmic battle known as Ragnarok. They spoke of a monstrous wolf that would devour the Allfather Odin himself. They spoke of a colossal serpent whose venom would fell the mighty Thor. And they spoke of a grim queen who would command an army of the dishonored dead. Odin, obsessed with knowing the future, heard these prophecies and his heart grew cold with fear. He saw his own doom written in the fate of these 3 infants. Driven by this fear, Odin made a fateful decision. He would not kill the children, not yet. Instead, he believed he could outsmart destiny itself. He ordered Loki's children to be brought from Jotunheim to Asgard, ripped from their mother's arms. His plan, to control them, to raise them under his watchful eye, and to bend their prophesied destinies to his will. It was a plan born of arrogance, and it would backfire spectacularly. Among the 3, it was the young wolf cub, Fenrir, who first captured the hearts of the gods. He wasn't a monster, not yet. He was beautiful, with fur like midnight and eyes that shimmered with intelligence. He was playful and loving, bounding through the fields of Asgard, but his wild nature was undeniable. He grew at an alarming rate, his playful nips becoming bone-crushing bites, his youthful howls deepening into earth-shaking roars. Soon, fear began to creep into the hearts of the gods, all of them, that is, except one. Only Tyr, the god of war and justice, was brave and compassionate enough to approach the massive wolf, feeding him by hand, forming a bond of trust. But Odin's paranoia was a poison that had already infected Asgard. He saw not a beloved pet, but the wolf of prophecy growing stronger by the day. He declared that Fenrir must be bound. The gods first tried with the strongest iron chains they could forge, but Fenrir, thinking it a game, shattered them with a single flex of his powerful muscles. They forged another, even mightier chain, but it too was broken with contemptuous ease. The gods were terrified. This creature was more powerful than they could have ever imagined. Desperate, Odin sent a messenger to the dark elves of Svartalfheim, the greatest smiths in all the 9 realms. He commanded them to forge a chain that could not be broken. The dwarves, masters of magic and craft, created a fetter unlike any other. It was called Gleipnir. It looked like a silken ribbon, soft and delicate, but it was made from 6 impossible things: the sound of a cat's footfall, the beard of a woman, the roots of a mountain, the sinews of a bear, the breath of a fish, and the spittle of a bird. It was the embodiment of things that do not exist, and therefore, it was unbreakable. The gods took Gleipnir and invited Fenrir to a remote island. "Come, mighty Fenrir," they said, "let us test your strength one last time with this silken ribbon. If you cannot break this, then you are not as strong as we thought, and we shall have nothing more to fear." But Fenrir was no fool. He had grown suspicious. He saw the fear in their eyes and sensed the trap. He looked at the flimsy ribbon and said, "This looks like no great feat of strength. I smell trickery. I will not allow you to place this upon me unless one of you places his hand in my mouth as a pledge of good faith. If you betray me, you will pay a price." A heavy silence fell over the gods. None would volunteer. They glanced at each other, their good faith exposed as a lie. But then, Tyr, the only one who had ever shown the wolf true kindness, stepped forward. Without hesitation, he placed his right hand into Fenrir's massive jaws. His heart was heavy, for he knew what was about to happen. He was sacrificing his honor and his hand for the perceived safety of Asgard. The gods quickly bound Fenrir with Gleipnir. The wolf struggled, expecting the ribbon to snap as easily as the chains before it. But the more he struggled, the tighter the magical fetter became. A wave of panic and betrayal washed over him. He knew he'd been deceived. In a spasm of rage and agony, he clamped his jaw shut, severing Tyr's hand at the wrist. The god of justice stood silent, blood pouring from the stump, his face a mask of sorrow. The laughter of the gods echoed across the lake, but Tyr did not laugh. He had lost his hand, but more importantly, he had lost the trust of a friend. The gods, ignoring the Wolf's howls of pain and betrayal, anchored the chain to a great rock deep within the earth. They jammed a sword into his mouth to silence his cries, and there they left him. Bound, betrayed, and alone, Fenrir would wait. With each passing day his rage grew, his body swelled to a monstrous size, and his hatred for Odin and the gods who had betrayed him festered. Waiting for the day of Ragnarok, when he would finally break free and claim his prophesied revenge, what of the other two children? The serpent, Jörmungandr, was cast by Odin into the great ocean that encircles Midgard, the world of men, but he did not perish. In the crushing depths, he grew and grew, becoming so immense that his body wrapped around the entire world, his tail held fast in his own mouth. He became known as the Midgard Serpent, or the World Serpent. Thor, the god of thunder, would encounter him 3 times. Once in a contest of strength, where he was tricked into trying to lift the serpent disguised as a cat. Another time on a fishing trip, where Thor nearly pulled the serpent's head from the water before his giant companion cut the line. Their final meeting would be at Ragnarok, where Thor would finally slay the beast, but not before taking 9 steps and succumbing to its deadly venom, their fates forever intertwined in mutual destruction. And then there was Hel. For the crime of being born, Odin banished her to the deepest, darkest, and coldest of all the realms. He cast her down into the land of the dead and mockingly gave her dominion over all who died dishonorably of sickness, or old age, or in childbirth. Her kingdom, Nibelheim, became known by her own name, Hel. Her body was half that of a beautiful woman, and half a rotting corpse, a perfect reflection of her grim domain. Her moment of vengeance would come with the death of the beloved god Balder. When the gods begged her to release Balder from her grasp, she agreed, but only on the condition that every single thing in all the 9 realms weep for him. And everything did ... except for one giantess, widely believed to be Loki in disguise. Because of this one refusal, Hel kept Balder, sealing his fate and denying Asgard its brightest light, a crucial blow that hastened the coming of Ragnarok. In the end, Odin's desperate attempts to avert the prophecies were the very actions that guaranteed they would come true. By betraying Fenrir, exiling Jörmungandr, and banishing Hel, he didn't prevent his doom, he forged it. He gave these powerful children every reason to hate Asgard and to remain loyal to their father, Loki. He turned them from innocent children into the very monsters he feared. The gods of Asgard had planted the seeds of their own destruction with their cruelty and fear, proving that sometimes the greatest threat isn't the destiny you're trying to avoid, but the choices you make along the way. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the dark heart of Norse mythology, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more tales of gods and monsters. Let us know in the comments which mythological story you'd like to hear next.